Welcome to our game theory lesson on elements of cooperative games and applications to the core of economics. Most of what we study in game theory could more properly be described as non-cooperative games. Participants can't make any commitments to coordinate their strategies. But a lot of the world is indeed cooperative, thankfully, where participants can make commitments to coordinate, to make exchanges, to make each other better off, right? There's gains from trade. That's cooperative. So thank goodness that so much of the world is cooperative. It makes us better off. So in cooperative games, participants can make commitments to coordinate their strategies. So what are some examples of cooperative games? Well, markets is the most obvious one, right? When you go to buy a donut from the grocery store, from the Dunkin' Donuts, and you pay them 80 cents or whatever a donut costs, you're only paying them because you think that donut is worth more than the 80 cents is to you. The only reason they're taking the 80 cents is that 80 cents is worth more to them than the donut is, right? You're both better off. Otherwise, the transaction wouldn't occur. That's a cooperative game. If everything was only non-cooperative, markets wouldn't exist. The idea that anything has a fixed value only, like one correct value, if that were the case, markets wouldn't happen, right? If a donut was always worth just 80 cents, always, to everybody, well, there'd be no reason to buy a donut, right? Because why would you could pay 80 cents for it because that's all Dunkin' Donuts would accept, but you're no better off, they're no better off, no trade occurs. Political coalitions is another example where we'll see cooperative games occurring, or coalitions in general. Cooperative games can happen. So a couple quick definitions. If a group of players coordinate their strategies, that's called a coalition. And a side payment occurs when one member of a coalition makes a transfer to another member of the coalition in order to reach a better outcome. So you could have a case where two or more players agree on a particular course of action that they think will make them all better off, and then there are side payments involved. The core consists of all coalition structures that are stable, and it occurs when there's no individual or group who can improve their payoffs by dropping out or reorganizing to form a new coalition. So in any cooperative game, the core, if it exists, is contained within the solution set. So there's a market game. What I want you to do is jot this down, but we're going to go through it in class. Now, if you're very familiar with how to plot this with demand and supply, we're going to look at another way how to analyze this market game. So one SU student has a go-kart. We say the go-kart is worth $50 to him or her, right? Imagine scooting to class in a go-kart instead of walking. Another SU student really likes the go-kart, is willing to pay up to $80 for that. Well, at a quick glance, you should be able to see how both students could be made better off with the exchange, right? The one who has the go-kart only thinks it's worth 50, somebody else thinks it's worth 80. There's all sorts of different trades that could occur where the go-kart is exchanged for anywhere between $50 and $80. Leave some space in your notes where we will plot this out. I don't know, maybe a half a page or something. And we're gonna do a little bit more with this in class. But make sure you do leave a little space. Another example, and like with much of the class, a lot of the way we learn this is just going through example after example. Political coalitions. We're going to look at an example where we have three political parties, say Christian conservatives, socialist labor, and libertarians. Say Christian conservatives have 40% of the vote, socialist labor has 40% of the vote, and libertarians have 20% of the vote. Also make the assumption that you need at least 50% of the vote in order to pass any one issue. Makes sense. So here's 4 different issues and how each political party feels about the issue. Free trade, same-sex partner benefits under Social Security, tax and medical benefit cuts, and subsidies to farmers and businesses that compete with imports. So what I'd like you to do on your own before you come to class, take a moment and try to figure this out. Question 1, if all parties voted naively and separately, what laws are going to pass? Remember, you need 50% of the vote. The second thing is, would any coalitions form? And the way to do this is to look at every possible coalition and see, will this increase or decrease the payoffs, and is the coalition stable? So that's what I'd like you to work on your own from this. It's a very short video lesson, but we'll spend a lot more time on this in class, going through these examples. Work on this on your own, bring it to class, and this is what we'll be doing soon.